in the voice of Priyanka Chopra. You know, one of the most powerful things I've learned in my life, through all the twists, triumphs, and turning points, is that real change doesn't start outside of us. It doesn't begin with a job offer, a big opportunity, or some perfect condition falling into place. It starts inside. Deep within us, with one simple decision: to believe that change is possible. Before anyone else sees it, before the world claps for it, before the success shows up, you have to believe it yourself. That belief, that inner conviction, it's the spark, the ignition, the beginning of everything. And today, I want to talk to you about exactly that. Because your belief in change is not just a mindset. It's the force that can make the impossible real. Let's have an honest conversation, one that doesn't come with filters or fluff. Real change, the kind that transforms your life, your mindset, your future. It never starts when things are easy. It starts when you're uncomfortable, uncertain, maybe even a little lost. And that's the truth we often resist. Because comfort feels good. It's safe, it's familiar. But nothing truly extraordinary ever grows there. Comfort zones are cozy, no doubt. They're predictable. They're full of habits we know and identities we've worn for years. But they can also be cages disguised as cocoons. They limit what we see, what we believe we're capable of, and ultimately who we become. I've seen it happen to others and to myself. You stay in a place too long just because it's fine. You hold on to a job, a relationship, a version of yourself that feels safe, even when deep down you know it's time to move on. Why? Because change demands a price, discomfort. But here's the twist. That discomfort, that chaos, that fear that wakes you up at 3 a.m. wondering, what if I fail? That's the birthplace of transformation. That's where life begins to shift. Growth never starts with ease. It starts with challenge. It starts with a crack in the wall you've built around your comfort. When I first entered the entertainment industry, I had no formal training, no connections, no rule book. I was stepping into a world that didn't exactly make space for someone like me. I had to fight the fear of failure, of rejection, of not being enough. I had to learn everything from scratch. And let me tell you, it was not comfortable, but it was necessary. That discomfort pushed me to work harder, learn faster, and show up stronger. Whether it's moving to a new country, switching careers, or just standing up for yourself when it's easier to stay silent, every bold move I've made began where comfort ended. That's where you find courage. Not in having all the answers, but in being willing to ask the right questions. Questions like, what am I holding on to just because it's familiar? Who am I becoming if I stay here? And most importantly, what might happen if I dare to leave my comfort behind? Now, I'm not saying throw yourself into chaos without direction. I'm saying listen to that quiet whisper inside you. That part of you that knows you're meant for more. That's your truth. And your truth often lives outside the comfort zone. Here's the thing. The moment you decide to embrace discomfort is the moment you reclaim your power. Because it's in that space between the known and the unknown that your real identity begins to emerge. And that identity is not static. You're allowed to change, evolve, outgrow, and bloom as many times as life demands. Some people will try to keep you where they're comfortable, even if it means keeping you small. That's not your problem. You don't owe anyone your stagnation. You owe yourself your growth, and that means saying yes to new beginnings, even if they terrify you. Let go of the myth that confidence comes before change. It doesn't. Confidence is what you build along the way. The decision to change isn't made when you feel ready. It's made when you feel called. And that calling, it usually shows up as discomfort. So the next time you feel uneasy, uncertain, or stuck, don't run from it. Lean into it. Ask yourself what that feeling is trying to teach you. Maybe it's time to speak your truth. Maybe it's time to pivot. Maybe it's time to believe in yourself a little louder. Remember, butterflies don't emerge in comfort. They struggle through transformation, through the tight, uncomfortable process of becoming. And you are no different. Change doesn't wait for perfection, it waits for intention. It begins when you say, I deserve more, even if you're scared. It begins when you stop settling, when you stop shrinking, when you stop playing small to make others comfortable. So if you're standing at the edge of something new, don't let the fear of discomfort hold you back. Let it propel you forward, because the moment comfort ends, change begins. So last year I attended this conference for divorce recovery, and that change, it might just be the most beautiful chapter of your life. You've got this. Let me start by saying something very real. Fear is not your enemy. It's not a weakness, and it's definitely not something to be ashamed of. Fear is a deeply human emotion. It shows up when we care, when we dream big, when we risk failing or losing or stepping into the unknown. And more importantly, you're not broken. You're human. I've felt fear at every stage of my life. Fear of rejection, fear of not being good enough, fear of making the wrong choice. And I'll be honest with you, it doesn't go away just because you become successful. It just changes its form. But here's what I've learned. While fear is natural, courage is a choice. And it's a choice you get to make every single day. Courage isn't the absence of fear. That's a myth. Courage is moving forward despite fear. It's that quiet, stubborn voice that says, I'm scared, but I'll do it anyway. And that voice, that's your power. When I was a teenager, I moved from India to the United States. I was in a new school, a new culture, with a new identity I hadn't even figured out yet. I felt invisible. I felt different. And yes, I was afraid. I could have let that fear swallow me, make me small, but I chose something else. I chose to find my voice, to belong to myself, even when I didn't feel like I belonged anywhere else. Later in life, when I joined the film industry, I had to do the same thing again. Walk into unfamiliar rooms, audition for roles I wasn't sure I'd get, speak up when it would have been easier to stay silent, and trust me, the fear was there. But each time I reminded myself, I can be afraid and be brave. Courage is a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. And it doesn't have to be loud or dramatic. Be that person. Think about your fear. What's keeping you small? Sometimes courage is just getting out of bed when your heart is heavy. Sometimes it's starting over, or saying no, or daring to say yes. It's speaking your truth even when your voice shakes. The world will always offer you reasons to be afraid. Rejection, judgment, failure. But none of those things are more powerful than your decision to try anyway. And that's the key. It's a decision. One that only you can make. You don't have to wait to feel brave to act brave. You don't need everything figured out. You don't need a roadmap or a 10-step plan. You just need that tiny flicker of belief. The belief that you are worth the risk, that your dreams matter more than your fear, that your voice deserves to be heard, even if it trembles. Look around. Every person you admire, every story that inspired you, they were all afraid at some point, but they moved anyway. They tried anyway. That's courage. And that same courage lives inside you. Fear is automatic. It's built into us. But courage is intentional. It requires presence. It asks you to look fear in the eye and say, not today, or at least, I'm going anyway. Sometimes we romanticize courage like it's this huge heroic act, but Honestly, some of the bravest things I've seen people do have been the quietest. Leaving toxic situations, setting boundaries, going to therapy, asking for help, forgiving someone, forgiving themselves. Those are acts of bravery too. So don't underestimate your small acts of courage. They count, they build you, they prepare you for the biggest steps ahead. The next time fear shows up, and it will, take a breath and acknowledge it. Don't shame yourself for it, but don't give it the steering wheel either. Fear can ride in the back seat, but you are driving. Your dreams, they're on the other side of fear. And no, it won't be easy. It might be messy, uncertain, even painful, but it will be worth it. Because every time you choose courage, you take one step closer to the life you're meant to live. You break free from what's holding you back, and you become someone who doesn't just survive fear, you transform through it. So feel the fear, name it, respect it, but don't let it define you. Because you, my friend, are braver than you believe. And courage, it's just one choice away. Let me tell you something I've learned the hard way, and it's this. You cannot grow while holding on to everything that once made you feel safe. You just can't. Growth demands space, and to create that space, you have to be willing to let go of what's familiar, of what's easy, and sometimes of who you used to be. It sounds poetic, but in reality, it's messy, it's emotional, it's painful, because letting go doesn't just mean dropping toxic things or walking away from negative people. Sometimes it means letting go of things that were once good, once beautiful, once comforting, but have now simply outlived their place in your life. We're so wired to hold on, aren't we? To our routines, our habits, our identities, our stories, even when they don't serve us anymore, even when they're holding us back. Why? Because the unknown is scary. It's easier to stay stuck in the familiar than it is to step into something new and unpredictable. But here's the truth. You can't receive with clenched fists. You can't become your next self if you're still clinging to your old self. Growth asks for surrender. It asks you to loosen your grip on the past so you can step fully into your future. I've had to do this more times than I can count. When I first moved away from home, when I changed careers, when I entered new industries, or when I just needed to evolve emotionally and mentally. I had to let go of old expectations, old comparisons, old definitions of success, and let me tell you, it wasn't easy, but it was worth it. One of the biggest things I've had to release is the idea of perfection. I used to think I had to be everything to everyone all the time. Perfect daughter, perfect actress, perfect representative of my culture. But perfection is a trap. It keeps you in one place. It doesn't allow you to stretch, to experiment, to fail. And failure is where growth really begins. Sometimes growth means letting go of timelines too. We put so much pressure on ourselves to be at a certain point by a certain age. But life doesn't work like that. It's not a straight path. It's a dance of detours, redirections, and divine timing. And when you let go of the pressure, you actually make room for more meaningful progress. Another thing that gets in the way of growth? Old narratives, the stories we've been told, or have told ourselves, about who we are. I'm not smart enough. I'm too late. I don't belong. These stories, they're not facts. They're filters. And the moment you start questioning them is the moment you start transforming. Letting go doesn't mean you forget where you came from. It doesn't mean you don't appreciate the lessons or the people that helped shape you, but it does mean you stop allowing the past to define what you're capable of now. You are allowed to outgrow your surroundings. You are allowed to outgrow people who don't grow with you. You are allowed to say, this version of me got me here, but it won't take me there. That is not betrayal. That is evolution. Think about nature for a moment. Trees shed their leaves. Snakes shed their skin. Even the sky lets go of the sun every night so it can rise again. Change is a natural part of every living thing. Why should it be any different for you? The question is, what are you still holding on to that's keeping you small? Is it fear? Is it guilt? Is it the pressure to stay the same because it makes other people comfortable? Whatever it is, I want you to know it's okay to release it. It's okay to move forward, even if no one else understands your growth. Because at the end of the day, this is your journey and it's meant to be dynamic. It's meant to surprise you. But for that to happen, you have to be brave enough to empty your hands of what no longer serves you. So let go. Not because the past didn't matter, but because the future matters more. Let go and watch how life opens up for you in ways you never imagined. Growth isn't just possible, it's waiting for you, but only if you're willing to make space for it. You know, we live in a world that's obsessed with big wins, overnight success, viral moments, quantum leaps. We're told that if it's not massive, it's not meaningful. But I've learned and lived the truth. Real transformation rarely happens all at once. It's not a dramatic movie montage. It's not fireworks. It's small steps, taken consistently, even when no one's watching. Some of the biggest changes in my life started with quiet choices, private commitments, little shifts in how I showed up, day after day, moment after moment. There was no spotlight, no applause, just a decision to keep going, to keep growing, even when the progress felt invisible. We underestimate small steps because they feel, well, small, too slow, too ordinary. But they're actually the foundation of lasting transformation. A single glass of water, one honest conversation, 15 minutes of learning, saying no when you used to say yes. These things may not seem like much in the moment, but they create ripple effects. They build momentum, and over time, they completely rewrite your story. When I first started acting, I didn't know the language of cinema. I didn't understand camera angles, lighting, continuity, any of it. But I showed up on set every day, ready to learn. I asked questions, I watched closely, I took mental notes, I fumbled, I grew, and I didn't become the woman you see today in one giant leap. I became her through years of small, intentional steps. The same is true for your dreams, whatever they are. You don't need to have it all figured out right now. You don't need to be fearless or flawless or 10 steps ahead. You just need to start where you are, with what you have, and then take the next small step. Maybe your step today is applying for that internship. Maybe it's journaling your feelings instead of ignoring them. Maybe it's turning off your phone and finally resting. Whatever it is, don't dismiss it just because it doesn't look like a grand gesture. Progress doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes, and here's another thing, small steps are sustainable. They're human. They allow for grace. You don't burn out trying to be everything all at once. You get to grow gradually, thoughtfully, authentically. And that kind of growth, it lasts. Let me tell you, I've had moments where the journey felt endless, where I doubted myself, where I wondered if the tiny effort I was making each day would ever amount to anything. But now I can look back and see it did. All those little efforts built the big life I'm living today. Small steps also help you build confidence. Every time you follow through on a tiny commitment, you prove to yourself that you're reliable, that you can trust your own word, that you're not waiting for the world to validate you. You're building yourself from the inside out. It's so easy to scroll through social media and feel behind, to think everyone else is 10 miles ahead while you're still tying your shoes. But don't buy into that illusion. People show you the finish line. They rarely show you the mile-by-mile climb it took to get there. And guess what? That climb is built on small steps. So be patient with your process. Celebrate your baby steps. Whether you're healing, growing, learning, or creating, it's all worthy. It's all part of the transformation. Every butterfly you've ever seen was once a crawling creature, inching forward, one small move at a time. No rush, no shortcuts, just nature doing its thing. You are no different. Your pace is your power. You might not see the change right away, but one day you'll look back and realize you're not who you used to be. You'll see how far you've come, how strong you've become, and you'll understand it wasn't magic. It was consistency. It was discipline. It was a million small choices made with heart. So start small, stay steady, show up, even when it's hard, even when it's boring, even when you're not sure it's working. Because trust me, those small steps, they're leading you somewhere big. And when the transformation arrives, it won't be sudden. It'll be the beautiful result of everything you've been doing all along. Let's have a real conversation, one that cuts through the filters, the highlight reels, and the fear of looking imperfect. Because here's the truth. Failure is not the end of the road. It's a part of the road. It's not a signal to stop. It's a sign to learn, to adjust, and to keep moving. For the longest time, we were raised to believe that failure is something to avoid, that it's a reflection of who we are, that if we fail, it means we're not smart enough, not talented enough, not worthy enough. But I want to flip that narrative for you, right here, right now. Failure is not a verdict. It's feedback. It's information. It's the universe saying, there's a better way. Keep trying. Keep growing. I've failed, and not just once. I've made wrong choices. I've had projects flop. I've auditioned and been told no more times than I can count. I've faced criticism that stung deeply, but looking back, every single failure taught me something I couldn't have learned any other way. Failure showed me where my ego was getting in the way. It revealed what I truly cared about. It tested my resilience and made me stronger. You see, success teaches you confidence, but failure teaches you character. It humbles you, refines you. One of my early lessons in the entertainment industry came when a film I had put my whole heart into didn't perform well. I was heartbroken. I questioned everything, my talent, my choices, my future. But that failure pushed me to reassess, not retreat. It forced me to ask hard questions, to train harder, to prepare better, and to approach my next opportunity with more wisdom than I ever had before. That's what failure does when you don't let it paralyze you. It makes you sharper. The problem isn't failure itself. The problem is how we respond to it. We take it personally, we internalize it, we let it define us. But failure doesn't say, you're not good enough. What it really says is, something didn't work, try again, differently. Imagine a scientist in a lab. Do you think they discover cures in the first try? No, they fail hundreds of times, but each failure is data. Each misstep brings them closer to the breakthrough. And that's how we need to treat our failures. In life, in love, in our careers. They are data points, not dead ends. Even in personal relationships, failure can be a mirror. Maybe you weren't ready. Maybe you outgrew something. Maybe it just wasn't aligned. But that's not a reason to stop loving, stop trusting, or stop growing. That's feedback. That's direction. That's part of the process. We grow up thinking failure is the opposite of success, but that's not true. Failure is a step toward success. It's part of the journey. In fact, the more you fail, the closer you are to something meaningful, because it means you're trying, you're stretching, you're showing up. And that's the kind of person I want to be. That's the kind of person I want you to be. Not someone who gets everything right the first time, but someone who refuses to quit when it gets hard. Someone who gets up, shakes off the dust, learns the lesson, and tries again. wiser, and braver. So the next time you fail, whether it's a test, a job interview, a conversation, or a personal goal, I want you to pause and ask, what is this trying to teach me? Instead of crumbling under the weight of disappointment, stand on it. Build something with it. Failure is not the end. It's not the full stop. It's the comma, the pause before the next sentence, the beat before the comeback. And let me tell you, your comeback will be powerful, not in spite of your failures, but because of them. So don't hide your failures. Embrace them, learn from them, share them. They're part of your story, and they make you relatable, resilient, and real. Failure doesn't define your worth. Your response to failure does. So take the feedback, take the lesson, and take the next step. Because this is not the end. This is your evolution in motion. One of the most liberating truths I've ever embraced is this: you are allowed to evolve. You are allowed to outgrow what no longer fits. You are allowed to change your mind, your goals, your identity, your path, and you don't owe anyone an explanation for it. We live in a world that constantly tries to put people into boxes. And once you're in a box, labeled, defined, understood, people get uncomfortable when you try to step out of it. But let me tell you something, with all the confidence I've earned through experience, growth doesn't happen inside a box. Evolution doesn't happen when you play safe. You're not meant to stay the same. You're not meant to live one version of yourself forever. Life is not about arriving at a fixed identity and staying there. It's about allowing yourself to become more, to explore the layers, to stretch into new shapes as your soul expands. I've gone through so many reinventions in my life. I started as a teenage girl navigating two very different cultures. I became Miss World, then an actress in India. Then I moved across the globe and had to start all over again. From the bottom, building my career in Hollywood. Each chapter required me to shed the old skin and grow into someone new. And you know what? Every version of me was valid. Every version had a purpose. Sometimes we feel guilty for changing. We fear people will say, "You've changed," as if that's a bad thing. But change is not betrayal, it's progress. Staying the same just to make other people comfortable is not a virtue. It's a prison. Let me be real with you. Redefining yourself is scary. It means walking into the unknown. It means being misunderstood, questioned, even doubted. But it also means reclaiming your power. It means taking the pen back and saying, I get to write this story, and I don't have to stick to the original plot. You're allowed to leave behind a dream that no longer excites you. You're allowed to move on from relationships that no longer support your growth. You're allowed to say, this version of me worked for that chapter, but I'm ready for something new now. Evolution doesn't mean you weren't authentic before. It just means you're growing into a deeper, fuller version of your truth, who you were last year, 5 years ago, or even yesterday. That person helped you survive, but maybe they're not the one who will help you thrive. And let's be honest, life changes you. Heartbreak changes you. Success changes you. Motherhood changes you. Loss, healing, discovery, new environments, they all shift something inside. So why should you stay exactly the same when everything around you is evolving? I've had moments in my career and personal life where I felt completely lost, not because I wasn't doing well, but because I had outgrown the identity I had worked so hard to build. And those were the hardest moments because I had to give myself permission to become someone new, to say, it's okay to let go of this now. It served me, but I'm not defined by it. And I want to tell you, you have that same permission to pivot, to start over, to surprise yourself, even if people don't understand it, even if it means failing and rebuilding. The freedom to redefine yourself is one of the most powerful gifts you'll ever claim. So don't fear evolution, welcome it. Don't cling to an outdated version of yourself just because it's familiar. You are not here to live a single storyline. You are here to unfold, to explore, to expand again and again. You are allowed to wake up one day and say, "This isn't who I want to be anymore." And then begin the beautiful, messy, courageous work of becoming someone new. You don't need permission from the world, you just need permission from yourself. And here's the beautiful thing: when you allow yourself to evolve, you give others permission to do the same. You become a mirror that reflects possibility, courage, and authenticity. That's how we grow, not just as individuals, but as a collective. So here's my message to you. You're allowed to evolve. And you're allowed to shine in every new version of who you become. Don't ever let anyone make you feel guilty for becoming more of who you really are. Let me say this clearly. You are not meant to do life alone. No matter how strong, independent, or ambitious you are, and trust me, I've worn all of those labels, you need a support system. We all do. There's this idea floating around that strength means handling everything by yourself, that asking for help is weakness, that leaning on others somehow makes you less. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Real strength is knowing when you need support and having the courage to reach for it. I've had moments in my life that were beautiful, full of celebration and success, and I've had moments that were crushing, quiet, dark moments of self-doubt, loss, exhaustion. And in both of those extremes, and in everything in between, the presence of my people made all the difference. Whether it was my family, my friends, my team, or even a mentor, having someone in your corner changes everything. When I first moved to the US to pursue opportunities in Hollywood, it wasn't easy. I was entering a whole new culture, a whole new industry. There were days I felt like I didn't belong, like I was starting from scratch. But I wasn't alone. My support system, my mother, my team, my husband, and a handful of close friends, they reminded me of who I was when I forgot. They reminded me of why I started. And they celebrated every small win with me like it was a victory for all of us, because it was. Support systems ground you. They remind you of your worth when your self-esteem takes a hit. They hold you accountable when you're slipping. They lift you when you can't lift yourself. And here's something important. Leaning on your people isn't just about receiving. It's also about showing up for them too. Support is a two-way street. When you build real connections, real community, there's a mutual energy that keeps everyone stronger. You don't just get love, you give it. You don't just lean, you hold. Sometimes we're afraid to be vulnerable, afraid we'll be judged. But vulnerability is not weakness, it's the gateway to real connection. When you share your truth with the right people, you don't become smaller, you become seen. And there's nothing more powerful than being fully seen and still fully loved. We often think we have to wait until we're drowning to ask for help. But let me tell you, don't wait until crisis hits. Nurture your support system every day. Call your friends just because, check in on your family, be present, be kind, be generous with your love and your time. Relationships, like anything worth having, require intention. And here's the thing, your support system doesn't have to be massive. It doesn't have to be made up of 100 people. Sometimes even one solid friend, one mentor, one sibling, one person who really sees you, that's enough to keep you grounded and going. If you're in a chapter right now where you feel isolated, I want to gently urge you to reach out, message that old friend, join that community group, open up to someone you trust. The world feels lighter when you don't carry it all alone. And if you're lucky enough to have people you can count on, tell them, appreciate them, hold on to them fiercely, because in this unpredictable journey called life, having your people, the ones who show up, who listen, who love you through it all, that's one of the greatest blessings. So yes, be strong. Chase your dreams, stand on your own 2 feet, but never be afraid to say, I need you. Success is sweeter, healing is deeper, and joy is richer when it's shared. Support systems matter. Lean on your people, and never forget to be someone's support too. Support systems matter. Support systems matter. Lean on your people, and never forget to be someone's support too. We rise higher together. Let's be honest. Change doesn't begin with the world, it begins with you. It begins in your mind. It begins with a simple but powerful belief that change is possible, that you're capable, that things can be different, that you don't have to stay stuck. Because the moment you believe that change is real and achievable, something inside you shifts, and that shift becomes your superpower. I know how easy it is to feel powerless when life feels overwhelming, when circumstances don't align with your dreams, when the odds are stacked against you. I've been there. I've felt those days where the voice in my head whispered, maybe this is just the way it is. Maybe this is as far as I can go. But deep down, there was always another voice, a louder, braver one, that said, what if you could change it? And that voice, that belief, that's where transformation begins. You see, the world loves evidence. People want to see the results first before they believe. But the most successful, fulfilled, evolved people I know, they do the opposite. They believe first. They decide in their hearts that something better is possible, and that belief fuels their action. That belief becomes the energy that moves them forward, even when no one else sees it yet. Whether it's changing your career, healing from heartbreak, building a new habit, or reimagining your identity, it all starts with what you believe is possible for you. If you believe you're stuck, if you believe you're limited, you'll stay limited. But the moment you say, I can change, the moment you start seeing even the smallest crack of light, that's when the walls start to fall. When I moved into new spaces, when I entered industries where I didn't look like everyone else, sound like everyone else, or fit into anyone's mold, it would have been so easy to shrink, to doubt myself, to play small, but I didn't. Not because I had all the answers, but because I had belief. Belief in my potential, belief that I belonged, belief that I could redefine what was possible. That belief didn't guarantee success overnight, but it gave me the courage to keep showing up. And showing up is where change really happens. So many people wait until things feel perfect to believe in change. But perfection is a myth. You don't need all the answers. You don't need certainty. You just need faith. Faith in the process, faith in your vision, faith in your power to grow. Here's the magic of belief. It makes you act differently. When you believe change is possible, you start making choices that align with your future, not your past. You start investing in yourself. You start taking chances. You stop settling. And little by little, belief turns into behavior. Behavior turns into habits. And habits turn into reality. That's how dreams come true. That's how healing happens. That's how growth unfolds. Not all at once, but step by step, powered by belief. Even science supports this. There's something called the placebo effect, where patients actually start healing because they believe they're receiving treatment, even if it's just sugar water. Their belief is so powerful, it changes their biology. Imagine that. If belief can change our bodies, what do you think it can do to our lives? So let me ask you, what are you believing about yourself today? Are you believing that you're too late, too broken, not ready? Or are you believing that you're evolving, learning, and rising into your purpose? Your belief is the foundation. Without it, change is just a wish. But with it, change becomes a decision, a direction, a destiny. And remember, belief isn't about blind optimism. It's not pretending that things are easy or perfect. It's about knowing that even in the chaos, you have the power to shift, that you can create something better, that your story is still being written. You don't need the world to believe in you first. You just need to believe in you. So today, I want you to carry this truth with you. Your belief in change makes it real. Not someday, not if everything goes right. Right now, right here, with you. Thank you. Take care, and goodbye.